match, no turn 1 play from Andrew Wetzler. That's fairly common out of Ruby Amethyst. No, not many goons these days. Not many 1-mana 2/2s. And we have a new dog from Kurt Spies, though.
Right, and Top Table Gaming, 2 copies of Archimedes. That's all for 1-drops.
All right, here's a tester for you. Do you know the flavor text on new dog? That's
He's
a dog?
That's a. He used to be a collie.
He used to be a collie, then he got run over.
Yeah.
All right, we have Simba. No turn 2 play from Wetzler. To me, that signifies either just a very slow draw or potentially Rafiki or some other powerful 3. I would be very wary to quest here because Rafiki is so brutal.
Right. I'm looking more at these deck lists. Maybe the reason there was no 2-drop there from Andrew is this team is only playing 2 copies of Gaston, which is usually the premier 2-drop for Ruby Amethyst.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not the hugest fans apparently.
Maybe just has a very lukewarm draw, needs to play the early things as ink because the top end is not inkable. We see the
True.
Rafiki, we see Friends on the Other Side. That Gaston, got played over this Friends on the Other Side as an ink, and that thing could have been, protecting us. But if Kurt's not going to quest anyway, what's the point?
Right. Kurt not giving Andrew the opportunity for efficient early turns. Kind of wants to develop a board for presence and then just kind of all of a sudden start turning things sideways. But that can get you in trouble if your opponent has the be prepared at the right time. If you haven't built up much early lore, it can put Ruby Amethyst right where they want to be.
All right. Wetzler going to play Maleficent Sorceress, a powerful 3-drop there that would have been nice in the face of these characters, instead choosing to play Friends on the Other Side. I like doing that in reverse, personally.
Yeah, I was talking to Cameron, one of our other competitors. One of the rounds she lost was to the mirror against, I'm guessing, either Matt or Andrew. And she said on turns 3, 4, and 5, her opponent just hardcast Friends on the Other Side. Just paid 3 ink, paid 3 ink, paid 3 ink, and it was an insurmountable advantage.
Dang. You hate to see it. We play an aerial. We spectacularly sing, and we musical debut and look for and find a Grab Your Sword. And now we're going to go questing. We're leaving the Stitch New Dog ready so that it doesn't get challenged by Rafiki. And because of that, we're able to unlock Stitch Rockstar next turn with an Inkable. Hand is 2 copies of Grab Your Sword and a Simba, as well as that Stitch Rockstar. And we'll see if Andrew has the answer next turn, and if Kurt even goes for it. All right, Aladdin comes down and drains 1.
Yeah, this is, I think Kurt is in a pretty good position, but I think I would have been pretty happy to start questing with this new dog. The missed quests kind of start to add up, especially if you're building a board that should be able to use lore to pressure your opponent. But Kurt is really valuing having the ability to shift a Rockstar at some point in this game.
All right, so Kurt, a lot of decisions here, but the long and short of it is he can play Ariel and look for an Inkable, or he can ink Simba and play a Rockstar. And it looks like we're going to go for an Ariel. And we can sing Grab Your Sword just to kill the Aladdin if we so choose. I don't hate it because the big shift on Heroic Outlaw is pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, does ink the Cub.
Plus, you got those extra Grab Your Swords anyway.
Right, so we're going to kill this 2/2. And now we're going to go swanging. How many do you swang with? Just the Simbas again? Or
everything.
I think it's everything because I believe Maui's got to go after the Aerials. But maybe not because there's 2 of them. It's tough.
Yeah, you already have a high-value target exerted. Might as well get the Stitch in there, too. Even, if Rafiki comes in and takes down either of these characters, you're pretty happy with that. That's all of Andrew's turn, essentially.
All right, I see a lot of non-inkables in Wetzler's hand. Going to have to ink the Heroic Outlaw. Now that Aladdin's gone, that seems reasonable. And here's Maui. It's got Rush. Do you hit the Aerial or do you hit the Stitch? And I think with how Kurt's been playing, hitting the Stitch makes sense. If he had thought through his turns a little bit better, or maybe quested earlier with it one time and changed Wetzler's play, maybe would have disguised the fact that he had the Rockstar, but Not sure it matters too much.
Yeah, and really what Kurt did in those first couple turns with the Stitch New Dog, he didn't give Andrew great targets for a Rafiki, which he kind of manipulated Andrew into losing a lot of tempo. You know, those turns spent playing Friends on the other side and Aladdin were pretty easily. Kurt pulled ahead on those turns because the cards Andrew played were pretty anemic in terms of tempo.
Yeah, but he chose not to quest a few times, and he chose to play a bunch of characters that only quest for one, and so he's putting himself in a position where he's just not got a whole lot of lore, and his opponent can just play another Maui this turn and eat half your board, and then it's 2 Mauis versus 3 Simbas and 5 ink.
Mm-hmm.
That seems pretty bad.
Yeah, Andrew's hand has a lot of the tools he's looking for.
Well,
These Mauis are going to just keep chewing on the board, down to just some Simbas that are maybe going to end up trading wholesale for these Mauis at some
yeah.
point.
All right, we find another uninkable. That's grab your sword again.
Okay.
Now we can play grab your sword and then kill a Maui, deal 2 to Maui, and then quest for 3. And then if the Maui attacks, it has to trade. That's fine, and it has to attack because of reckless.
Right. And this is exactly what we were talking about before, right? Questing because your opponent has to challenge. Now, reckless kind of makes that a cut and dry puzzle, right?
Mm. All right, well, we're over the hump, the 10 lore hump, and we're at 11. And now we're going to try to burn our opponent out for the next 3 turns, 3 or 4 turns. And Wetzler's job is going to be containment. We're going to start with an Aladdin Street Rat. It's going to reduce 1 lore from Kurt. And then Maui and Rafiki are going to come down. We're going to chew up 2 of the Simbas. And we got a damage on that Rafiki. I'm going to go back Kurt's way and see if he can draw something to get this Rockstar on the table.
Yeah, Kurt kind of played carefully in those early turns, denied Andrew some Rafiki targets, but was not really left with a lot when all the dust settled.
Yeah. Draws another uninkable. This is the Hook Thinking Happy Thoughts. We saw this one on camera earlier, and it's a great challenger and hard to challenge itself. Any 3-cost characters can't challenge it. It's got pseudo evasive. It's basically got protection from kids, right? Because that's Captain Hook's whole thing. 1, 2, and 3 Lost Boys just can't get in there.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what it doesn't have protection from? Grown-up heroic outlaws.
That's true.
And it also doesn't have very much lore.
Bang. Well, Dragonfire on that. If you're Kurt, you got to think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that.
You know, that never happened in the movie, right? Captain Hook never had to go up against the dragon.
All right, so here is Simba, which we can ink to play the Stitch Rockstar, or is that a... Oh, okay, excuse me. That's Rapunzel, but still, we're going to ink that and play Rockstar and cross our fingers. Hopefully Andrew doesn't do anything too
Hope
bad.
against hope.
Doesn't have it. Just keeping it close to the vest. I see 2 Be Prepares, maybe 3 in hand.
It's really hard to not be comfortable with just firing off a Be Prepared here if you're in Andrew's seat.
Yeah.
You have extras. Your opponent has absolutely nothing going on.
Yeah, because if he wheels, it's like you lose, I think.
Oh, for sure.
All right, what do you do here? Do you just fire it off? I think so. Bang. All right. Here we go, Kurt. What you got?
Slam the top of the deck.
So be our guests. Yeah, we're going to
Be
look at
our
the top
guest.
4. Ariel is ideal with the current ability to cast things. Almost missed. Finds a new dog.
And that's 2 whole new worlds on the bottom. And that was kind of what Kurt was looking for, right?
Right. Needed some big burst of resources to get back in. Kurt here probably going to go ahead and play the new dog. Decides to hold it. Interesting.
Wow.
Perhaps values it later as some leverage and doesn't want to expose it into another sweeper effect or some sort of targeted removal.
I think Kurt's just thinking about his outs and deciding that Stitch New Dog doesn't really play into that, in play at least. It could involve, playing out the new dog and immediately shifting, or eventually drawing a rock star and getting to draw a card with this new dog, but a single 2/2 was not in Kurt's game plan.
So in Magic, there were decks and situations very similar to this that I've encountered over time where your goal at some point is to force your opponent to play a sweeper effect on one large character.
Right.
And Kurt not playing that Stitch New Dog meant that him able to draw this 6 cost Tinkerbell is able to start questing for 2 might warrant that sweeper by its lonesome.
Yeah, but now once you start questing with the Tinkerbell, the amount of removal spells goes up significantly for Andrew because now Maui is an option. So that's why Kurt might be considering playing out the Simba. And another benefit of playing out characters is you kind of have to develop a bit of a board presence in order for Stitch Carefree Surfer to become a good draw. But that's pretty difficult to do at this stage of the game against Ruby Amethyst.
All right, big draw for Andrew. Finds Ursula, I believe, so can play
Mwah.
that and then punish Kurt a little bit. Oh no, it was a befuddle. Oh no, I was right. I was right. Okay, so drew the Ursula but decided not to play it. We're gonna go for Be Our Guest, top 4. Finds Carefree Surfer. So I guarantee you we're about to play out these 2 little characters, and then
Right.
hopefully next turn we get to play Carefree Surfer, and Wetzler might have incentive here to just blow these up since he has a 3rd Be Prepared in hand.
Yeah, it's hard to let these live when you know about the Carefree Surfer. This is where the point where Ruby Amethyst really wants to be slamming Maleficent Monstrous Dragons, but Andrew hasn't found any of those, or Magic Mirror for that matter. So, not a whole lot of card advantage.
All right, we're going to draw a card and drain a lore. Kurt down to 11.
Pongo.
Bungle. Bungle. So we can...
And that is a befuddle. This is actually a really interesting spot for a befuddle. It's going to turn off this Carefree Surfer if Andrew decides. There we go.
Nice. All right, so we're going to go ahead and bounce the Simba, and that turns Carefree Surfer off. What it does do is it allows it to potentially be ink.
Yeah, but at this point, what does it matter if the Carefree Surfer's not drawing cards? You're just set way back.
You're definitely just set back no matter what happens.
Yes.
Just trying to figure out Kurt's best line back in, and we're going to just play 3 characters, and if I'm Wetzler, I'm chomping at the bit to sing this Be Prepared and then play another Ursula.
Absolutely.
Is it actually? Sorry, it's not. I always say chomping at the bit, and I learned like a decade ago it was champing at the bit.
Yeah.
And that makes me want to be mad at someone from the 1600s. You know.
This is my favorite sequence from Ruby Amethyst, though.
Yes.
Like, this is the reason.
Ursula, play another Ursula.
Sing with anything and then be the first on the board is absolutely brutal.
All right, well, Ursula does come down after singing the Be Prepared, cleans up those 3 characters, and now we're going to go back Kurt's way. Plays Giant Fairy, deals a damage to Ursula.
Oh no,
yeah.
1 damage.
That thing's got 8 willpower. Let's get Ursula on the
Ursula
screen.
power hungry.
She is one of the primary finishers in this Ruby Amethyst control deck, and it often goes as the unsung hero, but here is Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. That's going to chew up the Tinkerbell, and we're going to quest for 3. Up to 7 is Andrew Wetzler. Let's see if he can take this game. That Stitch Carefree Surfer shrinking in his hand. Finds a whole new world. I guess you just play it.
Yeah.
I guess you just play it and pray. Things are going very
2 more Elsas.
7 fresh. Only 2 ink at the ready.
This is, it's kind of what you have to do if you're in Kurt's position, but it really still doesn't quite feel like a winning play, right?
Right.
It's against the cards Ruby Amethyst has at their disposal. And that was... Is that the 4th beat? No, that's a Gaston.
All right. Andrew, Grip of 8. We have Rafiki that's not able to challenge stuff. We have a Monstrous Dragon that can just eat the hook if he wants. We're going to quest for 5. No matter what, probably. See what else we want to deploy.
I think what we're looking for Andrew is... if at all possible, to start brooming back these Be Prepareds, because
what game do you think we're playing right now? We're not playing deck myself game. He's gonna play a 9-drop dragon, kill the Captain Hook, and quest for 5 and threaten lethal next turn.
I don't know. Maybe we're not desperate to find a broom, but we've gone through 3, maybe 4 Be Prepareds, and if Kurt has any way back in this game, it's gonna be fully reloading the board after that. A whole new world. Look, I don't think Kurt has a great chance, but if there's any chance, it's that one. Andrew,
Oh
look,
no, no, I don't know. I'm not saying Kurt doesn't have chances. I'm just saying that Wetzler is not looking for brooms. Wetzler does not care about brooms. That's what I'm saying.
looking for be prepared.
No, he's not. He's winning. He's winning on the board. He's very
The
close
only
to
way
winning
he's
next
losing.
turn.
Regardless, this is
Okay.
look.
You're doing
We're almost in
Galaxy
garbage.
Brain.
We're almost in garbage time. We're kind of
Okay.
doing garbage talk. This
Did you
this game
just call my jokes garbage talk?
that was a we statement. All right, here we go.
All right. Game number 2 goes in the favor of Andrew Wetzler's Ruby Amethyst control deck. It's 1-1. We got the deciding game coming up here in just a moment. Now, as these players are shuffling up here for game number 3, perhaps the last game of the event, depending on how the backup match goes, how do you feel about tomorrow?
I'm very excited. I think that in a field of only 2 Ruby Amethyst, I am I'm putting placing a lot of bets on those Ruby Amethyst players, to be honest. I think a lot of players, even at the top level, people are kind of reticent to play the best deck if they think they can find another strategy. But I don't have the most faith in those other strategies against Ruby Amethyst.
All right, chat. I need a chat vote. This is mob rule. Should I go tell oh my god,
Andrew.
Andrew, that he's not allowed to pile shuffle? I have that power. I can do that right now. I can kill this culture in Lorcana right now. What should I do, chat? You tell me. All right, we're going to be shuffling up here for game number 3, and these players are playing for a qualification to tomorrow's main event. That's the Lost Boys Lorcana Invitational, sponsored by TCGplayer.com. Also, shout out to our other sponsors, Cards and Castles 2, as well as Ultimate Guard. We are very excited to be working with all of these companies to bring you the Lost Boys Lorcana Invitational that will be starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. bright and early, and we're going to watch the former world champion of Magic the Gathering, Nathan Stoyer, play round number 1. I don't know who his opponent is yet. We're going to do it random tomorrow, but that's who we're watching round 1.
Great.
All right, players are resolving mulligans.
I'm really interested to see how Kurt handles this mulligan. We saw in game 1 the way he was able to pull that out was with, close to the perfect start with Stitch New Dog and Lantern and a Rockstar. Plenty of Rockstars, in fact. And that's kind of what propelled him to be able to threaten his opponent even before Be Prepared could come down.
Mm-hmm.
Only threw back 3 cards. Usually a pretty good number, in my opinion. You don't want to over mulligan. That's a trap a lot of the time, right? You can find yourself without ink in your hand. So Kurt has thrown back the 3 worst cards, trying to construct the perfect opener, and we are off to the races.
All right, game 3. Here it goes. Turn 1, Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist. Not obviously the strongest card here in this matchup, but it's a 1-drop. It quests, and it's not under any pressure because there are no goons in Andrew Wetzler's hand. All right, we have turn 1 play from Kurt, but no turn 1 play from Andrew, and we're off to the races. Let's see how much damage we can do before Andrew's able to set up some defenses.
We have a Lantern, and we've drawn another Captain Hook. That one looks like is destined for the Inkwell.
Yeah, looks like instead of the Lantern, we're going to play the Simba Bodyguard instead. That's going to give us some protection for that hook later on against Rafiki or some such. Or a turn 2 Broom, perhaps. Maybe a LeFou.
Right, this is a great way to... You kind of want to get out on the ground ahead of those 2 drops. That's what being on the play allows you to do, is so many of Andrew's answers are going to line up so much worse against this Simba with Kurt being able to develop so quickly.
Okay, Befuddle. We're going to go ahead and bounce a Simba. That is a huge tempo play, and it's going to slow Kurt down quite a bit. We'll see what he wants to do. He can go be our guest as Ink. He can play Lantern and then replay the Simba. I like that as the sequence, but it does, if he plays it Exerted as Bodyguard, then Wessler will get to eat it with Rafiki if he has it in hand. So it's got to be running through Kurt's mind right now.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the reason Kurt held those two Be Our Guests on the previous turn was in hopes of singing them on consecutive turns with Simba Protective Cub.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, getting bounced with Befuddle, uh, that's going to take a little while. So
He can get at least one of them.
at least, yeah, one of them.
All right, we're going to go back Andrew's way. Let's see if he has the Rafiki, Mysterious Sage, the most powerful 3-drop against Simba in the game printed thus far. There's nothing like it. You're sweating it. If you're a Simba bodyguard stan, you know exactly how it feels to have that thing eaten by the 3/3 with Rush. I don't see it. I see a draw 2, and Kurt's got to be breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah, Andrew has spent 3 ink on Friends on the Other Side a couple times now, and I think in game 1 that set him pretty far behind.
All right, we can play Rapunzel here, but it doesn't do a lot. It's one of my problems with Rapunzel in these decks that have, we already have a very low willpower with these characters for Stitch Rockstar. And against the Ruby Amethyst deck, they are excellent at clearing things and not allowing you to challenge them back. So characters almost never have random damage on them. So Rapunzel is rather weak when it's normally one of the best cards in the game because of how natural combat is in the game.
And I think that might be that's part of the reason Stitch Carefree Surfer has kind of risen to prominence is because when one of your card advantage engines is ineffective against the control deck, you kind of have to just add some more in that are good against control.
Right. I was running Hades Lore of the Underworld for quite some time, but the high amount of uninkables was rather troublesome sometimes. The way I found around it was to just trim back on some of the 5-drop songs. And that's probably what I'll be doing in the future if I find Rapunzel to be less than ideal in this matchup and Ruby Amethyst becomes the default, everywhere deck.
Yeah. And looking at deck lists, actually, Kurt on full 8 copies of those songs you mentioned, only 3 copies of Rapunzel. So a bit of a nod to this matchup.
Yeah. All right. No significant play from Andrew. Just plays a Latin Street Rat that does threaten the Heroic Outlaw next turn with the big shift. We'll see if he has it and if Kurt wants to walk into it. Doesn't look like Kurt was able to pick up a trigger here for the Rockstar, so it's going to be vulnerable for a turn. He has access to Be Our Guest, but needs to ink a Carefree Surfer to get there to be able to play it without singing. And I think 3 lore is worth, so I think I would just probably bench the Carefree Surfer, quest for 5, kill your 2/2 so you don't get beat by Heroic Outlaw, but you lose to Maui, so who knows? I guess you have Bodyguard Simba, so it's not quite that bad.
That's true. The Simba here makes Grab Your Sword a pretty good play, I think. And Kurt really values the card draw more than lore at this point of the game. Yeah. So he's holding on to this Carefree Surfer.
I mean, that's smart because one small character off the top with Rockstar lets you chain them off, and then usually you'll end up with like a 3 or 4 or 5 that's kind of mid, and you just play it as ink, and then next turn you Carefree Surfer and draw 2, hopefully. So I can see the way he's envisioning the game going and why he did what he did. That cannot target that, so we will be zapping the Simba. Bye. Bye. And now we can actually challenge with Hook and trade up. I don't know how worth it is, but it seems worth.
Yeah, very.
Ooh, we found a baby. Gotta love me. We found... Is that an Ariel?
I think that's an Ariel.
Alright, let's find a Be Our Guest and ink it. Or
yeah, we've
find a whole new world.
We have already seen 2 Be Our Guest. So that would be nice. A whole new world really does look good here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Kurt kind of roll the dice on that.
He's thinking about inking the Ariel so that he can potentially draw any inkable next turn and play the Carefree Surfer. And I love that he's thinking about that. But I think that the Ariel is just too potentially strong to throw. And, well, we miss on the song, but that's okay. If we have the option now to draw Whole New World and still do some really ridiculous stuff. It looks relatively safe to trade Hook for the Maui and then maybe not even quest for 3 so that you're not vulnerable to another Maui.
Yeah, it's tricky not having any more protection against Maui because you really want to be threatening lore at this point in the game, especially without much going on in hand. But a Maui would be just such a clean answer to this Rockstar,
Yeah.
and keeping Rockstar in play leaves so many of your top decks live.
Okay, Wetzler draws for turn. Finds be prepared. Might want to save that for next turn, but afraid of what the aerial can do. We've had one card kind of rotting in hand for a while as
Mm,
Kurt spies, and you have to think, oh, maybe that's. I guess Stitch Rockstar probably would have sang it, so maybe not. But we're gonna go for a Dragonfire on the Rockstar. That's a clean answer. Oh, we found another one. But do we hardcast it or do we shift?
yeah, Kurt. I the decisions Kurt makes here are kind of going to be pivotal, right?
Right.
There's you're not threatening your opponent enough to induce a be prepared. Uh, but as soon as you play out that stitch, you feel very behind to a be prepared. So Kurt kind of in a between a rock and a hard place here.
Just says go. And I think that's fine. You know, if he shifts quest for 3, he's going to lose to the Maui. If he shifts and doesn't quest, he's going to lose to another Dragonfire or just be prepared. If he inks the Carefree Surfer and plays Rockstar, he's losing to the Be Prepared.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's just losing to Be Prepared.
You know, he's not alone.
Probably the best Ruby card is Be Prepared. It's unique. It's a
Absolutely.
sweeper. It's real nice. All right. Well, we found a Simba Cub. We can ink that and just hard cast Rockstar, or we can shift Rockstar and play Cub and draw. I kind of like shift play Cub draw. And Kurt does too. There we go.
Ooh. Holding on to a whole new world. We have a game plan.
Okay. Well, we can sing it right now.
Nope. We just played that stitch, I believe.
It
Or did we?
was no, the aerial died.
No, I guess not.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna ink the Simba. Do we go ahead and play it for singing? Looks like that's what we're gonna do. Here it is, Whole New World. We're gonna discard 4 as Andrew Wetzler, including multiple Ursulas, and Be Prepared. And we're gonna draw 7 as Kurt Spies, and we'll see what else he can do. He's already played an ink, so he can just play a 1-drop. He's got another Simba, and he can play that and draw a card and loot.
And we're now at the point we see at least one Carefree Surfer in Kurt's hand. It's getting good at this point. We have enough ink that we're pretty soon going to be able to deploy maybe an extra character to turn on the Carefree Surfer, and then they become potent threats that are really only weak to half of Ruby Amethyst's removal spells.
All right, play ink number 7. Do we have the Be Prepared? Do we even need it? We're just gonna trade
Yeah.
with a Rockstar, and now what do we got? Maybe we can deploy this Ursula and take a lore, and now it's Ursula versus 2 Simba, baby Simbas. That doesn't seem so bad.
We also have the option of. Actually, I don't know if we've played an ink this turn. Brave Little Tailor. You know, these Simbas. Once the Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailors start coming down, if Kurt doesn't get down enough threats in time, they can really start going to work without too much threat of racing from Kurt. Just a Carefree Surfer. I think that's what we might see this game.
All right, so Kurt's got a grip full. We'll see what he wants to do. He can quest for 2. That leaves him vulnerable to the Ursula. But at this point, I think everything's fodder. Everything's cannon fodder.
Yes.
Time to burn. We'll see if Andrew can prevent, and I think his deck does a great job of doing that with Heroic Outlaw and Sweepers, Ursula, Baby Aladdin. All these things can protect his opponent's lore total from getting out of control. And ink a Goofy Daredevil. We have 8. We can play a BLT. We can maybe sing a Be Prepared and then play a BLT. Do we have a Be Prepared in hand? We don't.
No Be Prepared. A bunch of threats, though.
All right, well, we're off to the races here. I think we're just going to start questing. +3.
Yes. I am happy with this if I'm Andrew.
I'm happy with this if I'm Kurt.
Really?
Well, so here's the thing. Brave Little Tailor, it's big, but it's not 8 strength big. And
Yeah.
so your Carefree Surfer is going off. But if my opponent is playing giant characters that are questers and not things that challenge my stuff very well, I'm relatively happy about that. Now, with that said, Wetzler is likely going to quest for 7 next turn and play another Brave Little Tailor, which threatens lethal, and it'll force Kurt to have some interaction. And that does put him in a bad spot. But I don't know. I'm pretty happy if my opponent just plays a big character that has evasive and they're at 3 lore.
Yeah. I think uh, Andrew's Andrew's board is pretty beefy. It's gonna get beefier next turn with another Brave Little Tailor. But Kurt does have the resources in Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy, plural, and Grab Your Sword, plural, to actually start taking down these characters from Andrew over the next couple turns. So I think I like Andrew's game plan if I'm in his seat, but Kurt is gonna have the tools to be able to deal with them pretty efficiently, and might even start with a tiny tactician to set up some shifts on a following turn for an even more explosive turn.
All right. There's one tiny tactician. Can I see your graveyard?
One, be prepared. Ah,
Yep.
ah, ah.
Yep. Couple Maui's, Dragonfire are relevant. Targeted interaction. Now we have a bunch of stuff going on. Kurt did play the wheel last turn, a whole new world, and now he's got to figure out how to navigate this whole new world because he's got so many options. This is game number 3. The winner of this game will be playing in the Lost Boys Lorcana Invitational tomorrow. We do have a backup match that is playing, and the winner of that will also qualify for the Invitational tomorrow. And we'll get that winner for deck lists and things posted later tonight if possible.
Yeah, looking at the metagame for tomorrow, we saw this Amber Sapphire deck from the team of Harlan, Mason, and Brennan. Uh, Several players today were playing Amber Sapphire. We saw them on camera, and we didn't see any make it into the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, hopefully the twists, the innovations that that team has brought to the Invitational are able to push that list over the edge. Because if not, they might have some trouble against these more established decks in Amber Steel and Ruby Amethyst.
All right. Taps 2. We can play this bodyguard, maybe quest some. I guess we can quest. So we don't have a Rockstar, so we don't get to draw a card.
I think we put a couple rock stars on the bottom with that aerial, in fact.
Sad day, but
Yeah.
not like we're running out of stuff to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quest up to 11. The heat is on. Andrew Wetzler, what you got? We can quest for 7. If we play another BLT, then Kurt has to answer one of the characters or else he's dead. If we have Be Prepared, we can maybe quest a bunch, sing a bunch, Be Prepared, play a Brave Little Tailor, and threaten to win that away.
And if you're in Andrew's seat right now, you, especially with Kurt having so many cards in hand, you have to be worried about the top of his range, which in this case means a shifted Tinkerbell plus 1 or 2 Grab Your Sword, which Kurt does actually have access to. So Andrew needs to find a way to navigate that using the board state he's built, which is pretty threat reliant. And we'll see if he has the tools. Inking a Street Rat.
Riff Rat, Street Rat. He's got a sword! We all have swords!
I would make a monkey noise right now, but I'm not a very good. Oh, there you go. I don't know if that's exactly how Abu sounds, but that was it. That's Abu.
He's right here with me in the studio. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, we quest for a bunch, and then we deploy. Brave Little Tailor? Question mark? All right. Here's an Ursula instead. We're going to draw a card and take a lore from you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hmm.
Not quite enough on either side to win. Or sorry, not enough on Kurt's side to win next turn. Even without the Ursula drain 1. Oh, actually, I take it back. I think with 11 it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess we were one short with a shifted stitch, actually. Okay.
And Andrew has exactly enough to win. So Kurt's gonna have to
You have to kill
play some
something.
answers.
You gotta kill one thing at least.
I think on the bottom there, Kurt has lined up 8 strength worth of characters.
Yeah.
If we want to send him into the meat grinder.
Who won? Was that the Ruby Amethyst
Yes.
player? All right. So we have at least one Ruby Amethyst control player into the Invitational. That's Matthew Campo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Matthew plays on the Apex series a decent amount. He's quite good as well. So it's no surprise to me to see him taken down.
Get out the dice.
Get out the dice! Alright, sing and grab your sword, deal 2 to everything. We're going to see if we can chop these creatures down. The Mickey Mouse has evasive, so we can't directly challenge it, but we can directly challenge the Ursula. And we'll have to figure out the best way to do it. We're going to send 2 at it. And it doesn't even have enough strength to kill the Simba. It's so smile. Tinkerbell going to chew it up. Knock off the Brave Little Tailor with the 2 damage. That Ursula is ready, so it can't be challenged. And now we're going to follow that up with, looks like Rapunzel, and draw 2 cards, taking either 2 off the Simba or the Tinkerbell.
Now, in Kurt's seat, you're really wondering, has my opponent been, skipping Be Prepared because they don't have it, or because they're getting greedy and trying to bait me into overextending?
Yeah.
And
Well,
Kurt's going to get paid off here, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's still got freaking 6 cards in hand or whatever, and another whole new world. So even if my opponent has to be prepared, I say, bring it.
Yeah.
Quest 4/4 up to 14, threatening lethal next turn. Let's see if Wetzler has the answer. If not, Kurt is going to punch his ticket to the Invitational. I see a Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. That's not enough. I see an Aladdin with no rush. That's not enough. There is no Be Prepared from Wetzler. This might be all she wrote. We start with Friends on the Other Side. We draw 2. Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. Friends on the Other Side.
We can draw 2 more.
We can draw 2 more, and we can sing it with Ursula. There it is!
Boom!
The Be Prepared off the top of the deck, and Wetzler finds the answer. Let's see if he sings it and has something to protect after.
Now, as thick as you are, pay attention. My words are a matter of pride.
Keep going.
That's how the song starts. I don't know.
Be prepared!
I think you skipped a couple lines.
I don't know this song that well. I recently watched Aladdin for the first time since I was like 6 years old, and it hits different. It hits a little different now.
Yeah.
As an adult. Aladdin, Street Rat comes down, steals the lore from Kurt, and resets after the Be Prepared. And now we're going to go back Kurt's way, and we're going to see what he's got.
Speaking of, I think my favorite Aladdin character might be, a bit of an underdog. Everyone loves Genie. I love Iago.
No, that's the late, great, oh man. I used to watch him. He was a comedian.
Gilbert Gottfried?
Gilbert Godfrey. He was wonderful in the 90s as a comedian and actor. And well, we can't use that lantern to play a lantern, but I'm just going to let it go.
The ink works out
I'm
the
just
same
going to
way.
let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. Okay, here's some dorks. Wheel it!
Ooh, this is really nice.
That's all the threats. All the threats are gone now
No.
for Wetzler.
It's not all the threats.
It's enough of the threats. I'm exacerbating.
But
I'm creating.
This build has so many threats, Todd. They came
BLTs.
prepared for these wheels.
Be prepared.
Exactly. All right, and I think there's another Be Prepared in Andrew's hand. So a couple turns down the line, once Kurt is threatened enough, Andrew is gonna be, prepared. But in the meantime, looks like some Maleficents to play out, cycle through. Oh look, some more threats. And I wonder if we're gonna be getting close to deck counting.
Oh man, that happens a little too much for my taste in this game.
Yeah.
The deck counting. It's hard to kill people sometimes in this game. What? Okay, here's another idea. What if you only had to get 15 lore?
Wow, that's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, but 20 is really freaking hard sometimes, man. Like really hard.
Well, we want to. Do we want control to be at least a little viable?
What? They only have to quest 4 times to win or whatever.
That's true.
I don't know. We'll see. I think we are living in an underpowered world. I think, and
Sure.
some of the cards I've played with and seen from Chapter 2, specifically Zero to Hero, I'm
Mm.
extremely excited about that card, and I don't know very many other people who are. What? What's Twitch chat saying?
Terran likes your idea.
All right. Yes. Well, he is Mr. 8-1
Yeah.
drops in Quest for 2. Of course, he wants to reduce the
This
lore.
just in: aggro player, a fan of free lava axe.
Oh man. All right. So
More
Wetzel,
graveyard checking.
Wetzel here freezes both opposing characters with the old Spirit of Winter, and now we're gonna play a Gaston and Archimedes in Quest for 1 because attacking the Simba looks mid. Back Kurt's way.
Yeah, because this is what we in the business call the setup. Andrew is trying to line things up so that he can start challenging with Aladdin Heroic Outlaw and really swing the race in his favor. But another grab your sword in Kurt's hand might make that difficult. There it is.
Okie dokie. So, character is frozen. Can't quest. Elsa, quest for 3. Kind of scary. No way to get it off the table this turn. Mike can deploy some stuff to get it off the table next turn.
Mm-hmm. And kind of a lot of small characters other than this carefree surfer. If Kurt is less scared of heroic outlaw, because we did see at least 2 of those discarded, this might be a good turn to get down that carefree surfer. But if you're feeling threatened, you kind of have to get down to grab your sword. I like this sequencing. Kurt knows he can plan out his entire turn once he wants to, and the best way to do that is to start by this by playing the Simba. But in order to play a Simba in this spot, you kind of have to determine that you're going to have 1 free ink.
Right.
So Kurt had to go through all his options and decide, yes, the Simba is playable this turn.
All right, look in the top 4 with Be Our Guest. Finds Ariel. Gonna think about it again. Could go for the 5-cost hook. Thinking happy thoughts.
Ariel is a pretty good play this turn, but looks like Kurt is interested in getting more pressure down.
Yeah, LeFaux quest for 2, which is nice.
You were talking about being in an underpowered world, and that's something I've been thinking about as we see these new cards. Is what's Lorcana gonna look like when we have a full 8 sets?
Yeah.
We don't have formats right now, but if Lorcana had standard like Magic, it might be 2 years worth, which is 8 sets. And I think once we get to that point, decks are just going to be kind of absurd
Yes.
from
Compared
compared
to
to
what
how
they
they
are
look
now.
now.
Yeah.
Where you're playing cards like LeFou that say your Gaston's cost 1 less. Despite
Yeah,
just because you don't
next
have better
step is
options.
next step is like 2-cost O3s, the quest for 3 with no abilities or stuff like that. Like the aggressive stuff's gonna get more aggressive, the control stuff's gonna get more controlling and cheaper, and that's just
And it's all gonna work with your archetype because you're gonna have 8 sets worth of aggressive 2-drops to choose from.
Right.
You're gonna choose the best one for your strategy and not just the one that has the numbers you need.
all right. We play a grab your sword. It sweeps up all those small characters and puts 2 on the Elsa. Oh man, winning in. Let's go. Can it be not 2 ruby amethysts?
I love the graveyard checking in a game like Lorcana where players see so much of their decks, especially in these matchups. You basically see thoughts go through players' heads. Andrew's thinking, how many grab your sword have you played? Let me see your graveyard. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. How many aerial have you played? Let me see your graveyard. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
All right, back Wetzler's way. Remember, this is still a pretty foolish hand from a previously played whole new world. Still has 5 in the grip. I see a Dragonfire. I see a couple Maleficent Sorceresses and a Broom. So, Andrew Wetzler, very unlikely to deck out. That is not true necessarily for Kurt Spies. And if Wetzler is able to contain this last onslaught of characters, Kurt might be on empty.
Right. You're even if you're playing a deck with all these brave little tailors, you're perfectly happy to let your opponent draw themselves out instead. And now, going through your own. How many befuddles do I have left?
Yeah.
Shuffle, shuffle. Looks like 2 Maleficent Monstrous Dragons remaining in Andrew's deck. And Kurt's board, not that threatening, had to spend half of his ink just on a Grab Your Sword to kind of hold off Aladdin Heroic Outlaw.
Finds another Broom. We can go Broom, Broom, and then play another card draw effect. The problem is we're not really cleaning up Kurt's side of the field right now very well, no matter what we do. Deploying some more characters to the field seems fine. I really like shuffling in Elsa's, Ursula's, maybe even Be Prepared's. You know, the big 6, 7, 8s. We're just at a point in the game where you just want to draw mono haymakers. Not Ursula's Cauldron. Oh, he's so ready to play Ursula's Cauldron. There it is. Get it down. Get down the useless piece of garbage.
Which Rafiki? Choose your fate.
Yeah. That's a perfect example of an Ursula's Cauldron activation. 2 Rafikis on top.
Yeah. Speaking of items, I just took another look at these deck lists. I hadn't noticed until now. Matt and Andrew are playing 0 copies of Magic Mirror in the Ruby Amethyst list.
You know what?
That's a statement.
Yeah. They just don't think they're going to play too many mirrors.
Yeah.
And they were right. I think they were the only 2 in the field playing the deck, and there's only 2 other people in the field playing the deck tomorrow.
Right.
So it could end up being a full quarter of the field if Andrew is able to win this game and match and become our 16th competitor for the Lost Boys Lorcana Invitational starting tomorrow. This is our last chance qualifier. We are on the precipice of finding our last participant. Matthew Campo won our other semifinal match and cashed his ticket. We'll see if Kurt can do it or if Andrew's able to take him down.
And Andrew quested with Elsa there rather than taking down the Simba. I haven't kept count, but I think Kurt might be out of Grab Your Swords, and Andrew would certainly know that, meaning he's pretty comfortable to flood the board here and over 1, maybe 2 turns threaten to win the game. It's going to take a lot of resources from Kurt to take down this board.
Well, the only thing we can take down is the Elsa, but we can challenge it with the shifted hook, and we can heal and draw 3 cards and keep the gas coming. Andrew can quest for 4 next turn, but it's not quite enough to get there. And Kurt here looks like he's in great position. We can quest for 1, 2, 3, 4, thanks to the LeFou questing for 2. Maybe play a couple more small characters. And then at that point, Wetzler basically just has to have Be Prepared. I don't think any one card's going to do it. Maybe a pair of Maui can get him there. Maui plus Dragonfire. Oh, pardon us.
So we know what Andrew has access to. He has a Dragonfire in hand, and he has a Rafiki on top of his deck, meaning he's going to be able to take down the
up to
2
17. Andrew Wetzler needs some help. He has a pile of resources. Activates Ursula's Cauldron, looking for some help. Wants to look for something off the top of the deck that can help here. It has to be Prepared, I think. A couple of rush characters can maybe get the job done.
Alright, so we know Andrew's hand, and we knew it on the previous turn. There's a Rafiki and a Dragonfire, meaning we can answer Gaston, and we can answer probably a hook, maybe Rapunzel, just because it quests for 2. But I think that might just be too much. 3 challenges from Andrew only takes down a 2 of those exerted characters. And then Dragonfire and Rafiki is 2 more. I simply don't see a way for Andrew to get out of this.
All right, well, maybe there's a card in his hand we can't see, so... Oh, is it just the 2 cards left?
Yep, we knew the Dragonfire and we knew the Rafiki was on top.
Okay, well, let's see if he can cobble something together, but I think you're right. So here comes Rafiki. That's going to eat up the Simba. And then we're going to eat the other Simba, the LeFaux, and can't kill the Hook. And then we Dragonfire one of the things, and that's it.
Kurt Spice crosses the finish line.
Kurt Spice brings the spice, 4 copies of Baby Simba, and takes it down and qualifies for the Lost Boys Lorcana Invitational, brought to you by TCGplayer.com. Big shout out to him. Big shout out to Matthew Campo. Thank you so much to all of our players for coming out for tonight's event. We are going to come back to the booth. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen tomorrow. So the 2 players, Matthew Campo on Ruby Amethyst Control, took down his match. Kurt Spies on Amber Steel Midrange took down his match. They both have qualified for the 16-player exclusive invitational starting tomorrow, where those players will be battling over 2 days for $5,000 in cash. First place, $2,000 up top. He's going to be fighting against some of the best players we could find from the Magic the Gathering side of things where we're from, including the former world champion Nathan Stoyer. Action tomorrow starts at 11 a.m. and we'll bring you our pod play on Saturday as well as top 8 elimination on Sunday. We hope you join us. Make sure to hit the follow button on your way out. We're going to raid you over to somewhere probably Magic related. I don't even know if we have the ability to do that. Anyway, we're just going to let it go. Thank you so much for hanging. It's been a long day, so we're just going to go ahead and get out of here and say tomorrow we're going to start at 11 a.m. We'll see you then. For Bomat, I'm Tandy. Thanks for hanging out and watching. Thanks to the staff for putting on a great event. Thanks to Dan May for directing us. And we'll see you tomorrow, yeah.